Share markets show volatile trade. Markets register a huge recovery after a nosedive in the opening trade. SEBI says Indian indices fall significantly lower than other countries and is prepared to take suitable actions as needed. Amid reports of spreading coronavirus infection, good news comes from the Chhabla camp run by the ITBP. 112 persons evacuated from Wuhan, declared corona-free, staying for 14 days in quarantine, will leave for their homes. One more case detected for coronavirus, increasing the total count of infected from coronavirus to 75 in India. In Karnataka, a 76-year-old man who was ill for the past few days died in Kalburgi. Authorities says he had traveled to Saudi Arabia and had tested positive for COVID-19 but did not take the prescribed treatment. Efforts intensifies to help Indians stuck in corona-affected countries Iran and Italy. A flight will return today, bringing another batch of citizens from Iran. Indian students in Rome to be given medical assistance in Indian embassy. In international news, amid reports of escalation in coronavirus outbreak worldwide, several countries declare extraordinary measures. Wife of Canadian Prime Minister tests positive. And in sports, star badminton player PV Sindhu storms into the quarterfinals of the All England Badminton Championship by beating a Korean rival in straight games. In men's section, India's Lakshya Sen crashes out. Good morning. Those were the headlines. I'm Anil Thomas. It's 11:30. Now let's take a look at some stories related to COVID-19. Well, efforts have intensified to help Indians who are stuck in corona-affected countries, Iran and Italy. A flight will return today, bringing another batch of citizens from Iran. A team of medics have been sent to Iran to set up testing facilities there for Indians. Air India flight will evacuate a batch of Indians from Iran and land at Jaisalmer in Rajasthan today. On arrival, all will be quarantined at an Indian Army facility which has been created under the Southern Command. The patients will be transferred from the airport to a place where the initial screening will be done. Another batch of approximately 250 people will be evacuated from Iran on Saturday and will also land and be quarantined at the army facility at Jaisalmer. The army has also created quarantine facilities at Jodhpur and a number of other locations to assist the civil administration in containing the COVID-19 spread. Well, after completing the requisite quarantine period, all Wuhan evacuees have now been tested negative in coronavirus tests at the Indo-Tibetan Border Police quarantine facility at Chhabla in Delhi. All 112 at the facility, including 36 foreign nationals, will start leaving the facility from today. Meanwhile, one more confirmed case of the new coronavirus has been detected, which now takes the total toll in the number of COVID-19 cases across India to 75. Meanwhile, all precautionary measures as per the protocol, such as screening and home quarantine of the contacts, have been initiated after the death of 76-year-old male from Karnataka. He died due to comorbidity and was also tested positive for COVID-19. The man had visited Saudi Arabia from 29th of January to the 29th of February this year. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has issued guidelines for steps to be taken for self-quarantine. People who are living in the same household with a COVID-19 case or a person having had direct physical contact with a COVID-19 case should have personal protective equipments. Measures for self-quarantine include steps to stay in a well-ventilated single room, preferably with an attached washroom. Secondly, the infected person should maintain distance of at least 1 meter. Third, the person should stay away from elderly people, pregnant women, children and persons with a comorbid within the household. Also, his or her movements in the house should be restricted. In addition, under no circumstances he or she should attend any social or religious gatherings like weddings, condolence meet, etc. All protective health measures must be followed at all time. Special vans have begun their journey in Jammu and Kashmir's Doda district. In a unique step, DDC Doda flagged off 6 awareness vehicles from Doda district headquarters in order to give more information regarding preventive measures for COVID-19 to the local people there. Awareness vans will cover the rural as well as urban areas of all 6 districts and provide detailed information to curb the outbreak of COVID-19 at grassroots level. DDC informed that these vans are for Doda and other 5 districts, which will not only create awareness but will also provide information of people coming from abroad and having symptoms of cough and cold.
ये अवेयरनेस व्हीकल्स हमने जो है 6 डिस्ट्रिक्ट के लिए 6 अवेयरनेस व्हीकल्स तैयार किए हैं जो कोरोना वायरस के बारे में लोगों को अवेयर करना, पर्सनल हेल्थ एंड हाइजीन उनका कैसे मेंटेन करना है और इस चीज़ से कैसे बचा जा सकता है इसके बारे में लोगों को अवेयर करना और साथ ही साथ इन्फॉर्मेशन पास करना डिस्ट्रिक्ट हमारे कंट्रोल रूम को कि अगर कोई ऐसे सिम्टम्स के साथ मिल जाता है जिसको फॉरेन ट्रैवल की हिस्ट्री भी है, इस चीज़ के लिए हम सारी ये वैन्स आज से जो है अलग अलग ज़िले के हर कोने में दूर दराज के इलाकों में इसको अवेयरनेस के लिए भेजेंगे। स्कैनिंग जो हमारी वो नाके पे हो रही है खिलेनी में और जट्ठी में, मान लीजिए कि अगर वहाँ से कोई जो है वो एस्केप हो भी जाता है गलती से, तो इसीलिए हमने जो है वो पंचायत राज सारे मेंबर्स को, पंचों को, सरपंचों को ये हिदायत दी है कि अपने अपने एरियाज़ में अगर उनके वार्ड्स में कोई भी अगर फॉरेन ट्रैवल का पाया जाता है तो उसको इन्फॉर्मेशन इमीडिएटली कंसर्न हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट के स्टाफ को या फिर डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के कंट्रोल रूम को दे दें।
In an urgent measure over the spread of the deadly coronavirus, the Ministry of External Affairs has appointed a point person at the level of additional secretary to streamline international as well as domestic efforts of the government to address the rising challenges. Damu Ravi has been appointed as the additional secretary to coordinate measures taken by the ministry regarding coronavirus and handling it at the global level. Briefing the media, Damu Ravi said no minister of the central government will travel abroad in the upcoming days. He also urged the countrymen to stay put where they are and travel only when absolutely essential.
You don't have a defined criteria for that, but I think we will leave it to the our ambassadors and the HOMs in the missions to ascertain for themselves as to what is that essentiality is or the compelling reason. So I think the guidelines clearly said it's a compelling reason that would be decided by maybe the respective missions to say, maybe for example, health reasons, there is a sickness in the family, if someone wants to come, or there's a wedding. So that I think we would like to leave it to the missions to decide what that constitutes. I think we'll leave it in a broad sense.
The additional secretary also said that the impact of coronavirus on the economic front is short term and the government is taking several measures to deal with its magnitude.
I think, you must also very clear, what we are aiming at. The life is more important at this point of time. So the economic cost, yes, an issue of this magnitude, of this expanse that you're dealing with, there will be definitely costs. But how much we assess, I think this is not at this point of time relevant to talk about. There will be costs, but that's something which we have to deal subsequently. And we are not envisaging the situation that will be forever. So this will be a short-term measure.
The Indian Embassy in the United States has set up a 24-hour helpline to address questions on the recent travel restrictions implemented by New Delhi in a bid to contain the spread of the novel coronavirus. The embassy has stated that to respond to queries and to provide clarifications with regard to the travel advisory on or to India, they have issued by the Government of India. A 24/7 helpline has been set up at the Indian Embassy in Washington, D.C. The 2 helpline numbers are 202-213-1364 and 202-262-0375. People can also reach out to the embassy at cons4washington@mea.gov.in. The suspension came into effect from 1200 hours GMT on March 13th at the port of departure. All existing visas except diplomatic, official, UN international organizations, employment and project visas stand suspended till 15th of April 2020. Visa-free travel facility granted to overseas citizens of India card holders is also kept in abeyance till April 15th. All incoming travelers, including Indian nationals arriving from or having visited China, Italy, Iran, Republic of Korea, France, Spain and Germany after February 15th will be quarantined for a minimum period of 14 days. Well, let's now take a look at this graphic plate on to know about the do's and don'ts when it comes to this particular virus. The do's include frequent washing of hands, covering face while coughing or sneezing, throwing used tissues in waste bins, seeing a doctor if you feel unwell, avoid participating in large gathering, and last but not the least, contact the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare if you experience cough, fever or a problem in breathing. The don'ts include close contact with person experiencing cough and fever, touching nose, mouth and eyes, and spitting in public. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has issued a helpline number for any health-related inquiry. The helpline number is 011-239 78046. I repeat the number 011-239 78046. You can also email your query at ncov2019@gmail.com. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare also shared guidelines for public to fight against the outbreak of COVID-19. Practice like properly washing hands with soap or the use of alcohol-based hand rubs are one such way to curb the spread of the virus. AIIMS Director Dr. Randeep Guleria has issued a video showing the proper way of washing hands to keep coronavirus at bay.
This is the area between your fingers, so you rub your soap between that, and then you have your nails, so you sort of rub your nails, the tip of your nails. What is left behind is your thumb, so then you use soap water or your hand sanitizer to clean your thumb, and then you take it all the way up to your wrist, so that up to your wrist every area gets covered. It's very important to do that because you may just do this and wash your hands, but you may have the virus staying between your fingers or at the back of your hand, and you have not cleaned that with the hand sanitizer and soap. So wash your hands properly.
Famous sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik created another message on COVID-19 at the Puri beach in Odisha. The message says, let's play our role, do not panic, COVID-19. The art also gives a message of frequently washing hands. Well, moving to the international fallout of the novel coronavirus problem. China's coronavirus epidemic has passed its peak. Its top health commission said that only 8 new infections were logged in Hubei province, the first time the epicenter of the outbreak recorded a daily tally of less than 10. While the virus is spreading quickly globally, its progress in China has slowed down markedly in the last 7 days. This is a result of strict measures imposed to control the movement of people and traffic. With the marked slowdown of the spread of the virus, more businesses have reopened, with authorities cautiously easing strict containment measures. Hubei province, where the coronavirus emerged late last year, announced on Thursday a further loosening of travel restrictions and will also allow some industries to resume production in 2 of its cities and 2 countries. Moving to Italy and Europe, Italy entered its 3rd day of lockdown to stem Europe's worst outbreak of the COVID-19. For at least the next 3 weeks, anyone traveling in Italy will have to carry a document declaring their reasons. Outdoor events, including sports events, have been suspended, and schools and universities are all shut down. The measures are some of the most severe controls imposed on a Western country since the Second World War. Italy now has over 12,000 confirmed cases and 1,016 deaths. That's second to China in case of mortalities. Well, moving to Iran. In Iran, shopkeepers witnessed a huge decline in trade due to the spread of COVID-19. Spike in the number of positive cases have damaged Iranian businesses, and it's bound to hit its non-oil exports after many neighboring countries and trade partners shut their borders. Iran's economy has been battered by US sanctions, and in addition, the virus has posed an additional threat. As of Tuesday, Iran had reported 10,075 confirmed cases of the virus and 429 deaths. Meanwhile, Iran has asked the International Monetary Fund for emergency funding to help its fight against the coronavirus outbreak. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his wife Sophia are in self-isolation after she came down with flu-like symptoms and was tested for the new coronavirus. Her symptoms have since subsided. The 48-year-old Liberal leader is exhibiting no symptoms and will continue to work from home until the results of his wife's tests come in. The statement does not mention whether their 3 children are staying home as well. Canada is setting up a $728 million fund to help its province combat a worsening coronavirus outbreak and is prepared to spend more money if necessary. 91 people have been diagnosed so far. 1 person has died. Moving to USA, where the US Capitol complex was closed for public after a staffer for a senator from Washington state tested positive for the new coronavirus. Limited access to the Capitol and office buildings will last until April 1st. Those with limited access include lawmakers, staff, accredited journalists, and visitors with official business. Tours of the White House were also suspended in wake of the outbreak. Over 1,300 confirmed cases of the virus have been reported in the United States, with 38 deaths so far. US President Donald Trump is personally making the case for namaste in the time of coronavirus, referring to his recent trip to India and relating how he and Ireland's Prime Minister Leo Varadkar greeted each other the Indian way when they met in the White House on Thursday. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, officials rolled out a new state policy to try and contain the coronavirus outbreak. State's Lieutenant General Governor Sheila Oliver said that all gatherings throughout New Jersey of more than 250 individuals will be cancelled. New Jersey stands at 29 confirmed cases till now with no new deaths. Neighboring state New York State too has banned gatherings of more than 500 people from Friday. Also on Thursday, the state launched a coronavirus tracker that will allow residents to track the number of cases by county. Meanwhile, multi-billion-dollar tourist industry Broadway theaters in Manhattan also suspended all shows until April 12th in order to curb the virus outbreak. Further, Walt Disney will close its Disneyland and California Adventure theme parks in California starting tomorrow amid the global outbreak of coronavirus. No cases of COVID-19, the disease caused by the novel coronavirus, have been reported at the parks. Britain is likely to have between 5,000 and 10,000 people infected with coronavirus as Prime Minister Boris Johnson stepped up the response to the outbreak. The chief scientific advisor said the peak of coronavirus cases in Britain may still be 10 to 14 weeks away. The number of confirmed cases of coronavirus across the United Kingdom rose 29% to 590 over the past 24 hours. 10 people with coronavirus have died in the United Kingdom since the outbreak. Brexit trade talks scheduled to be held in London next week have been cancelled due to concerns over the coronavirus outbreak. According to a joint EU-UK statement, both sides are currently exploring alternative ways to continue discussions, including, if possible, the use of video conferences. The talks were set to be held in the British capital from March 18th to 20th. Around 100 European negotiators were due to travel to the United Kingdom from next Tuesday, where 590 cases of coronavirus were officially registered. Following the first round of negotiations in early March, the United Kingdom and the European Union acknowledged major differences of opinion. Meanwhile, the European Commission ordered non-essential staff to work from home starting on Monday. The European schools in Brussels, where EU officials and diplomats send their children, closed until the end of this month. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said that global outbreak of the coronavirus is an extraordinary situation and termed it more extraordinary than the banking crisis. German Chancellor expressed fear that Germany's economy could be hit hard as number of infected people rose sharply. She added that the government will present a very comprehensive package of additional measures to support businesses. She further added that for regions suffering a dynamic outbreak of coronavirus, the temporary closure of nurseries and schools will be done. Share markets, meanwhile, have shown volatile trade today. The stock markets have registered a huge recovery after a nosedive in the early trade. Benchmark index were trading higher in the volatile session with Nifty above 9,600 levels. The Sensex is 143.71 points or 0.44 at 32,921 points, and the Nifty up 38 points or 0.4% up at 9,628 points. About 524 shares have advanced, 1,283 shares declined, and 91 shares are unchanged. The SEBI said Indian index fell significantly lower than other countries. He added that SEBI is prepared to take suitable action as and when needed. A Delhi court today sentenced expelled BJP MLA Kuldeep Singh Sengar to 10 years imprisonment in the murder case of Unnao rape victim's father. District Judge Dharmesh Sharma directed both Kuldeep Singh Sengar and his brother Atul Sengar to pay 10 lakh rupees each as compensation to the victim's family. The victim's father had died in judicial custody on April 9, 2018. The woman was allegedly kidnapped and raped by Sengar in 2017 when she was a minor. Atal Tinkering Lab, a program run by Atal Innovation Mission under the Niti Aayog, is grabbing attention of students at school level. This is encouraging students of the Janaprabodhini Navnagar Vidyalaya in Pimpri Chinchwad city of Maharashtra. Since its setup, students of this school have come up with a lot of innovative ideas and are exploring them. Let's take a look at some of them.
ज्ञान प्रबोधिनी नवनगर विद्यालय, Pimpri Chinchwad city of Maharashtra started Atal Tinkering Lab under Atal Innovation Mission. The main purpose of this mission is to impart new ideas among students in school level and encourage the creative thinking of the students and solve the problems of tomorrow's society. Around 200 to 220 students from 6th to 10th standard make regular use of this lab with the help of available technologies in the lab. Students can innovate and create their own technologies.
हम एक साल से अटल टिंकरिंग लैब में आते हैं। हमारे घर में एक बार प्लग खराब हुआ था तो मेरे पिताजी बोले हम वायरमैन को बुलाते हैं और वो ठीक करके लाते हैं। तो मैं बोला कि नहीं पिताजी, हमें आता है ये सब, हमारे स्कूल में ये सारी चीज़ें सिखाते हैं। तो मैंने वो प्लग नीट किया।
अटल टिंकरिंग लैब को मैं 7वीं कक्षा से आता हूँ। अब यहाँ पर मैं पिछले 2 साल से आ रहा हूँ। इसमें हमें इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, मैकेनिक्स, कारपेंटरी इन 3 क्षेत्रों के अलग अलग एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करने को मिलते हैं, अलग अलग मॉडल्स बनाने को मिलते हैं और उसके ही साथ हमें हमारी थॉट प्रोसेस को, हमारे आइडिया को शेप दिया जाता है, उसे मॉडिफाई किया जाता है। नई नई आइडिया सूझने के लिए अलग अलग एक्टिविटीज़ होती है।
Students are also given guidance to work on projects like electronics, robotics, 3D printers and many more.
दिमाग में जो उनके क्यूरियोसिटी का लेवल जो है वो यहाँ पे हम एक्सपोज कर सकते हैं। मतलब वो बच्चे यहाँ पे आके खुद आके एक्सपेरिमेंट्स कर सकते हैं, खुद अपने हिसाब से सोचना, उन्होंने जो भी सोचा हुआ है दिमाग में रिलेटेड टू द टेक्नोलॉजी और अदर थिंग्स, तो वो यहाँ पे वो आके खुद इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं।
With the ambitious Adult Tinkering Labs, student community across the nation is cherishing scientific temperament and leading to indigenous innovation. Ground Report Desk, DD News.
Moving to sports, star Indian shuttler PV Sindhu cruised into the quarter-finals of the All England Badminton Championship Women's Singles with a straight-game win over Sun Ji-hoon of Korea in Birmingham on Thursday evening. The six-seeded Indian Olympic silver medalist won 21-19, 21-15 in a round of 16 match that lasted 49 minutes. Sindhu next meets the winner of the round of 16 match between she meets Nozomi Okuhara of Japan in the quarter-finals. Meanwhile, rising shuttler Lakshya Sen, however, was knocked out of the tournament after losing in straight games to Victor Alexin in the men's singles. Thus, the Indian challenge in the men's section has come to an end. The Tokyo Olympic torch relay began in Olympia in Greece on Thursday at the traditional Olympic flame lighting ceremony held with limited attendance due to the coronavirus outbreak. Thursday's ceremony in Greece was the first since 1984 to be held without spectators because of the ongoing concern over COVID-19. The International Olympic Committee has insisted the Tokyo 2020 Games will go ahead as the Olympic torch was lit in ancient Olympia. IOC President Thomas Bach said organizers had outstanding support and cooperation on all levels of government. The Games are due to start on July 24th. Bach told the small crowd of invited guests the IOC was happy with the measures being taken to avoid cancelling or postponing this summer's event in response to the global outbreak. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of news. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.